Hello guys, and we're back. As we check on the last Caverns of Ixalan card previews, I decided to also do some initial deck or sort of previewing the set as how it would affect the standard format. And one of the featured archetype that I've chosen today, which is also a previous video here in the channel about this archetype in the Pioneer format, is the Boros Pia deck. And since most of its components are basically still standard legal, we are going to explore in this build what would be its improvement now that we have some new mechanics from the new upcoming set, and how its strategy would somewhat support this kind of deck setup. So we're going to do here is an initial list of this Boros Pia deck, which is still in styling the main strategy of having PNLR console revival in the deck, and the main with also of these other components. But we have some noticeable new components here, in particular the newest Planeswalker, Kentorios Kant, which he has ability that also having this one to benefit us as we cast more of our cards from exile. So the lineup here is basically 12 creatures and enchantments with some Wild Super Drain Kick. We have a 6 instants, 23 lands, 3 Planeswalker, and 8 sorcery. Now for the usual, as we have also reference from the Boros Pia in Pioneer, is this one. Our lone one draft for this deck is the 4 copies of Monastery Swiftspear, which can benefit us in prowess as we cast our exile the top card sorceries, and which can instill of early damage. Along with it is our pseudo creature, which I consider also as one drop here, is the Command of Faces Kakasan. So it's also have to get this bonus that you can have to ping extra damage, and also have a 2/2 haste creature that has this relevant passive effect that creature's damage this turn will be exiled instead. So with that setup, of course, we have a 2-drop here, which is PNLR. So a little review again of your ability. It will be able to create as free 1/1 colorless top tier artifact creature tokens as we go with playing a land from exile or casting a spell from exile. That's 4 copies. Our newest exclusion also is this one from LCI, which is the Geological Appraiser. This is an uncommon card that's 4 to cast 3/2. It has ability that if you enter the battlefield, if you cast it, discover 3. So discover is the new mechanic introduced in the set, wherein you will exile cards from the top of the library until you exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less, and then cast it without paying its mana cost or put it into your hand. So that set, that's ability is likened to that of the Bloodbraid Elf, but this one would having also to just have you the option to put it in your hand, which at certain situations would have you instead benefit in that setup. But the good thing here is that if you look on the ability, and we have a few of the cardo effects, you can basically have to cast these 2 mana cost sorceries for free, or just get on these spot removals, and also be able to cast these cards in their adventure setup. But I'm pretty sure we'll check on that correct ruling for that. It's going with the mana value 3 or less, but the term here is that if you exile a land card and pay it for its mana cost without paying. So without paying means casting from exile would also trigger that of PNLR Console Revival's ability, that casting the spell from exile would create you a free 1/1 colorless top tier artifact creature token with flying. So with that setup on that, we also have this new card, Bonehorde Dracosaur. I've just seen this one on the card spoiler website. This is the newest mythic that is ability to 5 to cast 5/5 flying first strike. Its ability, although that binary upkeep, you can exile the top 2 cards in the library and you may play them this turn. If you exiled a non-land card display, you will create a 3/1 red, then a creature token. If you exiled a non-land card, you will then create a treasure token. So those setup will make this one as a very powerful late game gas and threat, and also develop your board. And aside from that, can also benefit as creating more of these tokens could have you to pump them with Virtue of Loyalty's ability to put a counter on each of your creatures you control and then untap those creatures. But we are going to discuss these two virtue as we go along right after we discuss the ability of Control Your Scan. So this new Planeswalker is a 5 to cast, 1 red, 1 white, and 3 of colorless or any color. It is a Conturious, so legendary in the name. It's not really that reference, but it was from the Strixhaven set, which the School of Mages were, I think he is one of the professor there. So it's his ability, starting loyalty of 4. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, you will be able to deal 2 damage to each opponent and will gain 2 life. And its good ability of +1 is you would also have a creature on board. That's a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. You can also -3 this one for Discover 4 and -6 for the ultimate ability. Exile in number of target cards from your graveyard and then add 1 red mana for each of those exiled, and then you may play those cards this turn. So just a good late game gas, but I think his ability would also already suffice with creating this army of 3/2 white spirit creature tokens and also get you a gas with Discover 4. But what's interesting here that I would highlight on this one is that casting a spell from exile. So this would also having to benefit with your Lexus Impulse and your Rens Resolve, so that casting those cards would also get you to trigger Control Your Scan's ability. So 3 damage to each opponent is also a good way to block out their life total and also gain you 2 life, which also benefits to get you on a good life total in the mid game up to the late game. One instance also of a combo here in the Conturious is the Virtue of Courage, wherein whenever a source you control that deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from the top card library and then play those cards these turns. Anyway, this is also sort of a synergy with these cards. So those cards just 3 damage and then you get to exile. So whenever you cast a spell from exile also as an effect of Virtue of Courage, this would also get you to deal 2 damage and so on and so forth. So this would be a good 2-card combo in the mid game up to the late game. So aside also from the Virtue of Courage, which is also acting as a spot removal with this one, we also have of course a mana creature that can produce a 2/2 white Knight creature token with vigilance in that of the Virtue of Loyalty. And of course, casting this one for 5 would get you to have a good pump to your creatures and untapping them at the end of your turn. And for this setup, the last but not least, before we go for the lands, are your spot removals. I've included this one as a 2/1 mana spot removal, which I think we can upgrade later on, but having the cheap mana cost of also the open option to scry would still be a good spot removal to include here in the deck. We also have the new copy of the new card Get Lost. This is also a spot removal in destroying enchantment creature and Planeswalker in having its controller create these 2 map tokens. But I think it's not yet determined here, but we'll have those soon as the deck updates. And the final spot removal here and also burn effect to the dome is there are 2 copies of Stoke the Flames. With the setup, the land would I think suffice with 23 copies, in which were composed of the Elch lands with Battlefield Forge, some channel lands, Iganju. Of course, the basics are still here with this one, the new art for LCI Basic Land Mountain and Plains. There's also full art lands. 4 copies of Religious Bivouac, which also can get you a good 2/2 Ox creature token. I mean creature that can be activated and putting a counter also on target creature you control. And also Sundown Pass and Soken Sun as your channel land for this setup. So overall, I think this would be the look of a Boros Pia deck that is standard legal with the coming of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan set. Let's check first the last mana curve. Average is 2.68 with mostly for the 14 for 2 and the 1 mana cost, mostly for the 1 drops of the Kumano, Monastery Swift Spear, and that of Play with Fire. But I think this would still become a healthy mana cost, despite that we are still going in the late game with these creatures such as this Dracosaur, Kentrios Khan, and also of the Virtue options. And the color distribution, surprisingly, these are mostly red with 40, and white is only 18, but the red producers and white producers are pretty much near even. But I think the mana fixture would still be able to have you curving out early without having any colored mana problems. And this is last year tokens and extras. I think we'll still have more of these tokens, in particularly the Dinosaur 3-1 creature token, and also the 3-2 red and white spirit creature token. So I guess that's pretty much it for this list. Our new upcoming standard Boros Pia deck for the loss of Caverns of Ixalan standard. If you like this video, just let me know in the comments below, and we can also have this discussion of what will be our options later on as we get to upgrade this one with the new cards previews in the coming days, up until the completion of the spoiler in basically I think by next week. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for checking out this one, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you on the next one.